Siki. We are beginning the top of 4 p.m. with some breaking news that's coming in on the broadcast. Remember, we told you about how the Russian President Vladimir Putin had held talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi over phone. Now, CNN News 18 has managed to access the details, which is to do with that telephonic conversation. In fact, we are told that that conversation, in fact, did happen. Kremlin has, ensured that. And following up on their meeting in Samarkand on the sidelines of the SCO summit is what the leaders were doing. The two leaders reviewed several aspects of the bilateral relationship, including energy cooperation, trade and investments, defense and security cooperation, and other key issues. So that was all about that the teleconversation that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. We will try and get you a sense of what else was discussed when it comes to this very crucial conversation between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Vladimir Putin. To talk all about that, my colleague Maria Shakil joins us on the broadcast. Yes, Maria, just take us through all the details that have been accessed by CNN News 18. What all really was the agenda, the topic of conversation between Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
Conversation that took place between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Vladimir Putin, the Russian Premier. What we are also being told is that this conversation that took place earlier today was essentially a follow-up of what had happened on the sidelines of the SCO summit. Remember, the two leaders then had reviewed several aspects of the bilateral relationship, including energy cooperation, trade, investments, defense, and other key areas. One important aspect of the conversation that the Prime Minister had with Vladimir Putin was also that he reiterated the need for dialogue and diplomacy, the way forward in the context of the ongoing conflict with Ukraine. And the Prime Minister also told Vladimir Putin about India's presidency of G20 and what are the priority areas and the key areas as far as India is concerned. And then the leaders, decided to stay in touch. But I think the key area, of course, would be that the Prime Minister reiterating, even in this call that has happened with Vladimir Putin again, because in the last 1 year, ever since the war began, there have been multiple communications that the Prime Minister has had with the Russian Premier. And in all these communications, the Prime Minister has reiterated that there is a need for diplomacy and dialogue between the two countries, and that is the only way forward.
Also, Maria, the fact that this was taking on from that conversation that they had in Samarkand at the SCO summit, and they were also talking during the times when the fighting remains very intense on the Ukrainian sector, especially the eastern and southern front lines of Ukraine. Anything that we know has been discussed to that account?
Yes, I told you about it, Priya, and I told the viewers as well that the Prime Minister reiterated that because in the context of the ongoing conflict with Ukraine, the way forward between the two nations, between Ukraine and Russia, the warring nations, is diplomacy and dialogue. The fact that the Prime Minister highlighted the need for energy cooperation, trade and investment, it's a clear indication of how India is viewing its relationship with Russia on priority and is not being, affected by the kind of narrative which was being generated by the West initially when questions were raised about India getting oil from Russia, the answers to which was given by S. Jaishankar and union ministers here, in which they explained clearly and as to how India feels that there is a need to put India first when it comes to crucial aspects of international equations and international relationships.
Maria, lastly, this becomes an important bilateral between Russia and India. The fact that we're talking on the sidelines of India assuming presidency for G20, and we've also seen how has China responded even that when that is happening along the line of actual control. So this becomes very crucial.
Yes, but I'm not too sure if that was taken up in that conversation that the Prime Minister had with Vladimir Putin. I think the main point certainly was that, as I highlighted about that, and the fact that India has taken over the presidency of G20, and India will now be setting the narrative as far as the global leadership is concerned. That is what Prime Minister Narendra Modi communicated to Vladimir Putin as to what are the key areas as far as India's presidency in G20 is concerned, what are the areas of focus, and how India plans to set the narrative going ahead.
Thank you so much.